Everyone, welcome in to BetSports Golf, the 2024 Masters preview. Andy, you have a hot take. We talked about at the top of the show. Like, I don't want to get too spicy. You want to save it maybe for a little bit in, but I don't know. Like, I think maybe hit him at the top of the spice.
Yeah, hot take. This is my favorite. This is the best. Best of the best. This is great. I found an old laptop that like I would never try to work on or like do anything, but it works good enough to like hook up to one more. I have an old monitor. It's like, what if I got one more stream going in the office on Thursday morning? Because there's, God bless ESPN Plus. You know, there are so many streams that we can take advantage of. I know it's Tuesday. I know you do the First Look show, which I think if you guys are watching this on YouTube, or even if you're catching this on Twitter, go follow us on YouTube. It is a new channel that has never not picked a winner for a tournament, by the way. We've been only over there for 1 week. And I was going to say, you mentioned it on the First Look show on Monday, but it does bear mentioning that, I mean, how many outrights did you bet last week? I had 4 at the end of the day. That's the only 4 that we picked on the show. That was what I went with. I never put them in the newsletter either, like the whole card. So I just set off the top. I'm like, hey, taking it easy this week, whatever. It's Valero. I don't care. I want to get to the Masters. Here's the 4 guys I bet. And lo and behold, Akshay, very good. Wasn't going to be a fun Sunday. Then it was a less than fun. I'm just like, a drama's great. I love the ending of a good golf tournament. I hope we get a great ending. It's a lot less fun when it's your guy who's not doing that. Like, it's funny because the 2 outrights I've hit this year are Scotty at the Players and Boccia here, where I kind of had the opposite experience because, like, oh, Scotty can't really do this, can he? Can he just keep hitting shots? He's got another one, another dart, another 4-footer, another easy putt. Like, this isn't happening. And then on the flip side, oh my God, another dart, another another putt. Like, is this really happening? Like,
another 12-footer.
Shout out Denny. Jesus Christ. What a back 9.
For Akshay to, would obviously go Masters heavy today. We're flush. We have a little bit of Akshay money. Obviously, we're excited about that. But for Akshay to like be in the 60s again, he was going to have to deal with like choke narratives and discussions. It's like, it didn't choke. I mean, obviously he missed a short putt on 16. He should have, or 17, I think, that would have made things a little bit easier. But like, dude, Denny just 28 on the back 9. Like, that's just really tough to hold up. So yeah, impressive for Bhatia at his age without all those reps in that moment, in that type of field. I'm so excited for him to like hold on and to like persevere to make that putt. I was so excited on the 72nd hole. I'm like, all right, well, at least Bhatia is like, he's going to get to go first. He's away. And then all of a sudden, like,
somehow he wasn't
away. Yeah, I'm like,
the angle that everyone saw where the ball was crossing. Yeah. It's hard. The depth perception of that shot makes it difficult. You almost need that shot that they use in billiards. If you've ever had like a rainy Saturday in 1999, when like you're like, I'll just see what's on ESPN and there's nothing, and you end up watching billiards. They do that absolute like complete shot from straight down from the very top. I needed that at that point because the same thing. It's like, he's 12 feet away. There's no fucking way.
Yeah. So for him to shove up, it was awesome. It was great lead in, punches his ticket.
Always cool. Yeah, it's cool to see a guy punch his ticket. That's awesome for sure.
For sure. And obviously you probably have heard at this point the narrative or the story. It's really cool. He's the first. And again, this drive, chip, and putt hasn't been around a very long time. So it's not like there's been a bunch of guys that like had played and hadn't made it here, but he's the first one that was a 14-year-old's, participant in the drive, chip, and putt, which we had been watching earlier in the day. It was a Sunday morning. So I watched this year's with my boys who thought it was really cool. Like, these are kids. Even my 2-year-old thought it was pretty cool watching these kids kicking around. So actually returning as a participant in the Masters field this year, which is super cool. So
it's like when you have the punt, pass, and kick.
Yeah,
kids. You have the footage of some NFL player doing that when they were young. It's awful neat. It's funny too. My kid needed UConn last night to win the family bracket challenge.
Okay,
he had a terrible bracket, but he picked he picked good on a couple teams, and he picked UConn to win it all. He's the only one. I wouldn't tell him when he woke up. I made him watch because I didn't let him stay up for the game. He's 9. It's a school night.
It's true.
So I made him watch the entire One Shining Moment to see if UConn won. I'm like, they'll tell you at the end, buddy. So he's pretty pumped. I'm gonna have to get him a prize or something. Hopefully he does like watching golf. So hopefully he likes watching golf with me all weekend. Let's get into the Masters tradition like no other. I haven't done a hello. We should have started with the hello friends. Everything's so nice. Everything's so perfect. Everything's so manicured. Par 3 contest tomorrow. Everything's so fun. Thoughts?
I can't wait. It's a few. Well, I mean, a ton of storylines. It's just hard to where to start. I think obviously the top storyline is Scotty reflective in terms of where he's at in this field, reflective of where the odds board currently sits. Is he that guy? And theoretically, at the same time, are we going to be in a spot where we're having to discuss Scotty in a weird way of like, how good was he last year? He didn't win a major. How hot is he right now? And he doesn't win another major. Now, again, like that discussion is so weird in and of itself because winning golf tournaments is very difficult. Winning majors, there's only 4 a year. It's incredibly hard. Obviously, the field is unlike anything else, but he's put himself in this position where not winning is almost weird. And he's always competitive. He's just always in the mix, even with his B game, his B- game. But you gotta think that like this heater isn't going to last forever, and can he capitalize on it with a couple of majors? And you can't win a couple if you don't win one. Obviously, he has a Masters, but within like this 2023, early 2024 absolute just heater that he's on, he's got to kind of seal the deal a little bit. So that is obviously, I think, to me, the leading story. Feels like he's the massive favorite, and it's an appropriate favorite. We can argue is 4-1, 4.5-1, an appropriate price or something that anyone would want to back. But just in terms of storylines heading into it, it's probably the top.
Yeah, I think obviously the top storyline is Scotty. Can he just keep going? Can he push himself closer to that Tiger realm where, if it just keeps going, he wins this. Maybe he wins the playoffs. Maybe he wins another event this year. We come back to Augusta next year. He's, plus 180, something ridiculous, getting close to third place. It isn't the biggest field, It's still a smallish field, a lot of top players, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Interesting to see a couple people that I listen to, read, or look to for advice had mentioned how much everyone harps on history, course history, experience here, but another really, really big thing is just like strategy, being able to like pick the right shot, having a good relationship with your caddy. No, I'm sorry, Jordan. Like, I think they get along, but like listening to your caddy, having a good plan in place, putting together the right sequence of shots. It's almost like tennis where, anyone who bets or watches tennis, there's point construction. Every shot has a purpose later on. Like, and Scotty's just so good at that.
It's even like pitching, right?
Setting up the the sinker with whatever. I'm not a pitcher. Yeah, I don't watch enough baseball to even like make a good analogy.
Maybe you're thinking about the third at bat in the first at bat, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to get this guy the third time through, I want to be able to kind of layer in sequencing a little bit different. And yeah, course management of Scotty is, I think, probably.
And number 12, Golden Bell. It's a first pitch fastball swinging kind of ball. If we're going to keep running with this, but Scotty's course management, his strategy, his ability to like find the right shot at the right time, to always make the smart shot. It seems like you never see him have Spieth moments. You never see him have like the thing we pan or we laugh about is the coming out of his shoes on some of these swings, and it's like, well, can we really laugh at him? They went 340 straight as an arrow, and it's in the middle of the fairway. Like, I guess do whatever you do. Everybody's swing is a little different. So, it's one of those where golf is still hard. Anything can happen. Somebody else with a high floor, high ceiling can put the lights out, hit a bunch of really good approach shots, and Scotty at his top level might still not win. I mean, that's what you see here. So it's one of those where you joked about doing this with your other outrights, like putting Scotty in the top 10 with an outright. It does feel like his floor is so incredibly high. Like, what would be more surprising? Like Scotty Scheffler winning or Scotty Scheffler not finishing in the top 20?
1,000% top 20.
Yeah,
him outside the top 20 would be
like
stunning.
Really struggling for 2. God, missing the cut would be really wild. But him struggling for 2 out of the 4 days and not finishing in the top 20 feels just so out of the realm of possibilities for where he's at right now. That said,
1,000%. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't miss. I mean, I'm just gonna look. Last 25 starts, he has been outside. He's been outside the top 20 twice in the last 25 starts. Back-to-back events, Open Championship, T23, FedEx St. Jude, first leg of the playoffs, T31. The rest of them are all inside. No, I'm sorry. There's one other non-top 10. So he is within his last 25 starts. I'm sure I can go back a little bit further. He has been inside the top 10, 22 of the last 25. It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. It's longer than that. You go back. He's he's outside the top 10 even is really, 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 really unlikely. Like you said, it is a unique field. There's 89 golfers. If we have some of the old guys have hung it up, we had the pickleball injury, obviously, to Bernhard Langer, Sandy Lyle hung it up, Larry Mize hung it up. So you have fewer of the, old past champs, but you have a massive 20-man debutante field this week, which is really interesting. And the top of that field is really wild. We have multiple top 10 golfers in the official world golf rankings, quote unquote, that are debutantes. I think 8 guys have won golf tournaments this year, debutantes at this event. It's just kind of a unique layout in terms of the field construction this year. 12, I think, LIV guys too. So yeah, it's definitely in and of itself in terms of field.
Let's go back to that maybe right after we talk about this, because it's so interesting compared to previous years. But I think the second huge storyline is obviously LIV. Not so much like LIV versus PGA, like they want to make it seem like in the media and stuff. I think that's still a little bit of a thing, but everybody's just out for themselves. Nobody's like, oh, good, Patrick Reed isn't going to be like pumped that Rahm won. Like, yeah, we'll score one for us. Like, he's going to be pissed about where he places. Like, it is an individual sport as much as those guys do try to push a team vibe. 4 aces did not win the green jacket. They're not making extra ones if one of those guys wins. So,
Bubba carrying some good momentum in with the Range Goats victory last week in Doral.
That's true. There's some maybe some vibes amongst some teams. Honestly, like, I joked about betting on Sergio on the timeline because of, like, what if he's like actually trying again? He's not actually good here. By the way, he just had one really, really good week, and he wasn't even good until the weekend. Like, it was just kind of 2 really good days, honestly. Justin Rose probably should have had that jacket, to tell you the truth. But yeah, the LIV stuff, it's difficult because, a lot of what we do here is data-based. We do a lot of modeling. And I said this to Ryan off the air. I said, even if we had good LIV data, because there's some LIV strokes gained data out there, I don't know how much I trust it based on how the process of collection apparently is happening with it.
It's not even complete as is.
Yeah, it's not complete as is. Even if it were, there's a calculus that needs to happen, because let's say, we got $1 million grant for Ryan's local golf course, and him and all his buddies went out golfing for all summer, and they kept really, really good strokes gained data using ShotLink, and they put it all together. Like, how much shit, we could use handicap, I guess, but at that point, it's a little tricky with the LIV guys. How much shittier is Ryan and his buddies than the tour? Because you're going to have strokes gained data for both. Like, how do we compare that? Like, is it worth 1%? Obviously LIV is a lot closer than you, But at the same time, it's weekend fields, it's 3 rounds, it's some guys that clearly have not given a shit for several months or years. It's some pretty easy events, pretty easy courses. So even if we had good live data, it really, really makes it tough to model some of the stuff this year. So I'm struggling with that. And at the same time, 2 out of my 3 bets have been live guys anyway. Because I've just kind of decided, and this is something I've always done. And honestly, two of my Masters wins betting here have just been straight vibes. Like I did bet Reed in 16, 17. I did bet Tiger as like a last guy on when he won as I can't not have him just in case. Like that was such a weird dream. That still might have been a dream. But
That was nuts.
The Masters, I wonder if there is a little less, you can use some of this data because it does come down to, hey, like Wyndham Clark is probably an elite golfer. He might be a top 3 golfer in the world right now, but he's never played here. He's never played a competitive round. Like it does matter, and it does show up, and that's why we haven't had a debutante winner here for 50 years or whatever.
Yeah.
That said,
in 79. Yeah.
I know I'm leaning away from that because Zalatoris, where he placed right off the bat, his first go. I believe Spieth won on his second try.
He did. He T2'd his first time.
Yeah, in the last like 10, 15 years, it has gotten a lot different. And even since the days of Spieth debuting to where we're at now, we've got debutantes who have won a major championship last year.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 2 who are on not only a Ryder Cup team, but the winning Ryder Cup team, winning with a bullet in Aubert and Højgaard. You've got some decent names in the debutante list for sure. So that's I did take some Vacha. I put that in the newsletter. That's more, not just out of respect, but that's a big number for a guy who's playing in form and kind of matches up with this course well. But I don't know. Do you think this is like our shot to get a debutante to win? Because we're not gonna have a field of debutantes like this very often.
No, like I said, 20 guys, 8 guys on tour have won already this year. That's part of how they've punched their ticket. You mentioned, 3 Ryder Cup guys. It's 2 in the top 10 in the world rankings. It is a uniquely awesome debutante field. I would still bet that individually. I should just put something out for our friends over at Bleacher Nation, top debutante market, just kind of capturing some of that. I'm with you on the Akshay stuff at 850. I also think Nick Dunlap at like 22 to 1 is a pretty interesting bomb as well. Yeah. Just those are the 2 that I think price wise are off. But I would bet them separate. I don't think we see one win. I do think that there's something to it, just in terms of like the uniqueness of having to walk through this course a little bit. It's just a little bit demanding, and it's different to the players. Like you hear the players talk about it as well. It's just different being there. And like, yeah, you could play practice rounds. I actually heard Nick Dunlap himself talk about it. He's like, yeah, he had been here. He had played a little bit a couple weeks prior. He was doing a practice round yesterday with Scotty and Sam Burns. And he's like, even being here a couple weeks ago now, like there's patrons and the grandstands are here.
Yeah.
It just is completely different to me. So like they could try to shake a lot of that out. And, obviously having Wyndham have to go through LACC and win a US Open is probably a little bit different. But for the rest of them, it still is a unique thing. It's a unique thing, and getting an understanding of the intricacies of it. I think there's something to the fact that course history has mattered. We kind of touched on it last week, you and I, where we talked about typically we're a mix of form and course fit. And those things will, like, depending on the events and the course, will kind of yin and yang based off of what matters. And course history just kind of hangs down here in the underbelly of it. And like, we'll look at it and it's confirmation bias. And we're on a guy, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this guy's played well here. That works. It becomes a little bit more balanced with the 3 of them this week, but even so, to me, course history matters a little bit less, but I would like for you to have come here and have had some success here as well. So, Sanjay, it was another one, I think, but that was the 2020 November COVID one where he T2'd behind DJ. So we've had a couple guys in the last handful of years T5 in their debut, but to win it is a little bit different. Then one other thing too, I want to touch on the data piece combination with LIV.
Go ahead.
We do have strokes gain data for the Masters the last handful of years in the rabbit hole. Really cool. Can't find that basically anywhere else, like from a modeling standpoint. So something to look at this week and something we will look at for sure. A couple of things with that. First of all, simple course history, 4 rounds captured is such a noisy data set that we should really be really careful in how much we're weighing that as well. Plus last year, torrential downpours a couple of days. So super soft, unique kind of Masters in and of itself. We also have in that data set, again, the November 2020, where it played different. It played, like DJ broke the record. Yeah. So
it played quite a bit. Yeah. It was easier. It was goofy. Yeah. Guys were coming in. Not only that, but coming in a different time of the year. Like
totally.
You'd already been through the playoffs and whatever, it's the middle of fall. It's normally your off season. It was very different. Not that I don't want to take anything away from DJ. Played very good that week.
Yeah. 1,000%. So yeah, we can look at like comp courses. I think we still can look at specific, trends in terms of, data and things that matter for sure. So I wouldn't say don't model this week. Don't use the rabbit hole. You just have to be careful with what you're doing. That's a unique sample that captures actual form, but that's big enough that captures some of the LIV guys. So you have to go back to like either data set that has majors or data set that kicks back to having relevant sample of rounds for the LIV guys. It's just kind of a unique week. So it's definitely more so than any other week, I would think, just a guide. But, some people bet on trends here. When like Ron puts out the trends piece, some people will like poo trends. I think I can take them or leave them. It's kind of arbitrary starts and stop times in terms of like, what fits the trend narrative and things like that. So those things are a little bit unique, but it's definitely a vibes week. So you having success on vibes doesn't surprise me. Kind of a unique.
Yeah. I pulled something here. I pulled this yesterday for something else, but I went on the rabbit hole at Betsford's Golf. I'm a member, no big deal. And I pulled just because, you can look at Augusta rounds, but you're not looking back that far. So I went all major rounds, and it's crazy. Like, cause somebody was like, hey, how can we predict major winners using stroke gain data? It's like, well, you can be really good. Strokes gain doesn't equals trophies gain, because if you look at this here, and maybe I should even zoom in a little more if I can, but obviously Scotty, Rahm have won, but this is the past 5 years. These are strokes gained on average in all majors, and I took out people with low sample sizes. Rory, no, it's been 10 years. Xander, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember a lot of Xander majors?
I remember Xander having a couple T2s at the Masters, but not a lot of Xander
T2s.
wins. I had a nice opening round at LACC last year, and
this is in the mix. This is where I go back to. It's still so hard because everybody's here. Obviously, Morikawa has his. Victor, that's been more of a come up, and he's been a lot better lately. But we still need to see it. Cam Smith
had a couple almost won. So he almost won the Cam Smith. Yeah, they almost Cam Smith at the Open, and he had almost last year at the PGA for Victor. So
yep. Cam Smith has his. Brooks obviously 5. DJ had his Masters. Weird skewing, but he's played well. Hideki has his jacket. Lowry. So I'm looking at 5 years.
This is not capturing his no.
It would probably not include 19, the one he had. 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there. Either way, Shane's played well in majors. Yeah. Hasn't got one since it's been 5-6 years. And Tommy Fleetwood, that's the one that really kicked me. Like, Tommy Fleetwood doesn't even win tournaments, much less majors. So it's wild to see some of these names. It doesn't just mean the best guy is going to win. I mean, obviously we've seen Danny Willett won one of these. Sometimes you get it's Cinderella season. We just got done with March Madness.
Danny Willett was top 20 in the world at the time. He got hot leading into it. Yeah. No, I know. Obviously,
it was still goofy.
Oh, for sure. There's
poor Jordy. This is having to put the jacket on. Like that just had to feel so bad.
Yeah. It is kind of a weirder one in terms of the majors. It's definitely a place where you can come and compete, and you're no threat to win a US Open or PGA, but you can show up here and It's just kind of your place that fits you a little bit.
Fun question before we dive back in then. Who would be the person Rahm would least like to have to put the coat on in Butler cabin there? Coat, jacket. What do you call it? Coat. Out of anyone in the field, who would he be pissy the most about?
This is a layup answer. And if there's a better one, I'd be open to hearing it. I think it's Scotty.
I think so too. Like
I think
they're 1A and
1,000%
is kind of falling off because people aren't respecting Rahm's game anymore.
I think we could see, I don't think we're going to see like old school heated Rahm, but like I think Rahm is going to hold himself to a very high standard this week because I think he's probably pretty frustrated with even kind of coming out and saying like, I haven't played in a golf tournament this year. He said, I haven't played in a golf tournament this year. Like he is big dick swinging on LIV saying, these aren't golf tournaments. We're playing 54 holes. I'm excited to play in a golf tournament. And because he's out of sight, out of mind, hasn't won on LIV though. I mean, just Legion 13 guys. I mean, just printing wins. Unfortunately, not enough for Rahm to take home individual titles yet. So I think he's coming in. One is still remind people, I'm the defending champ. I was the top player in the world. I got hosed in PGA Tour Player of the Year last year. That was given to Scotty basically because I left to go to LIV, and because we have no visibility to that, like in terms of like markets of NBA futures or MVP stuff. Like we know who voted for these things. Like PGA Tour Player of the Year happens kind of right after Rahm went to LIV, and it's like, oh, it's Scotty. It's like, oh, everyone thought it was going to be Rahm. So weird. I think him having to kind of bend the knee a little bit to the narrative that's coming in that they're not the big three or not a big two anymore, wherever you want to put Rory in that mix. That it's, Scotty has kind of separated himself. I know you don't want to put Rory in that mix, and that's fair. That's hard to argue, but
he has a win. I mean, he won on Europe's tour, but haven't seen it. Haven't seen it leading up. God,
I think it's Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, there was a quote today saying like, he's playing resort courses in shorts. He hasn't played. Other people are saying this as well. So I wonder if we do get a little fiery Rahm. I wouldn't hate three. I'm very close to pulling the trigger. The price. Oh, Cal has a good answer. Cantlay would piss him off. I mean, that's another layup. Like, there's no one who would like to put the jacket on Cantlay. No. People don't even want. Maybe Xander. I think
Xander would, but Xander's got to get his first. So
Xander would be, yeah. So that's like a dividing by zero question. You can't. How do we get Xander to put a jacket on Cantlay? Shit ain't happening. Although I did bet on Xander this week. I don't care. Price is the price, and that's the thing. Let's talk trends because I'm anti-trend for the most part. I don't hate them here. I don't hate them at a lot of places. There's a lot of good trends, but again, one of the outrights I hit this year was just saying, well, fucking trends are fine and all, but have you seen this guy play golf? At the Players was like, hey, the Players is the least predictive, out of big tournaments as far as how you've played in the past. So a guy who won here isn't going to play good again here based on that. And also, just winning a second tournament in a row, repeating, like all those things. It's just like, fuck, I don't care. Like we're still betting on him because like, look at how his game matches up at this course and look how he's playing right now. And the same kind of thing goes with Rahm. We've seen that as one of the big trends is people don't tend to play well in their title defense here. It's been like 3 times in the history of the world that we've had a double up, and all 3 of those were like, well, Jesus, did you see how he was golfing at the time? Because it was like what, Tiger 00 and 01 or 01 and 02. Yeah. Like those were years where he was, like odds on favorite, like to the field. And he was just a god at that point. Same thing with, what was it, Nicholas? In the 60s, and then somebody else way back, I believe. I have to go triple check my math on that. But I mean, doesn't I know Scotty didn't win last year, but
Faldo had back-to-back, right? Didn't Faldo go like
I think that's the other one.
90 91 I think was Faldo, or 89 90.
I missed the one in the middle for sure.
But
Rahm or Scotty, like and I know Scotty's isn't a repeat, but we're still like, oh, it's hard to win it again.
For sure.
Either the Rahm repeating, I don't buy into that trend for somebody who can play at the level he can.
I don't either. But that's what I was touching on too, is just the arbitrary start-stop points of the trends can be a little bit noisy, but I do think there is something to be said for them here a little bit more than ever. And again, like it's just kind of even like the rabbit hole, right? It's any type of statistical modeling piece. It's just a part of the puzzle. None of it is like the end all be all. It shouldn't be the reason that you're making your decision in and of itself, independently of anything else. Ron put together a trends piece. I believe there were 30 trends. No one fits all the trends. Xander hit 29 of the 30 trends. He was the the highest of the bunch.
What was, I bet 30 was have won a tournament coming in. I'm not even kidding, because that's one.
I think it is. Yeah.
I believe Andy Lack touched on that too. There was a trend of having won like multiple times coming in. A bunch of guys had done that, and he had to again have a caveat for DJ. He's like, well, he also had 11 months to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously that one trends is that one of these was in November, thanks a lot COVID.
Yeah.
I'm glad we still had it. That would have pissed me off not having one at all. What a bad time of year to have a global pandemic. But nobody's sick this year. We're going to have Augusta. I'm going to make some pimento cheese. Pretty pumped. Do you want to look at doing some light modeling here in the rabbit hole?
Yeah. Let's toss some stuff out here for the people. You can go over to the site now. Actually, Ron's preview. Again, the most extensive preview that you can read for the Masters. You will get way more information than you possibly could need if you wanted it. It is captured in Ron's preview on the site, so definitely
free to read.
Out. Free to read. Again, not always, but it is for you this week. Same for my players guide. Shameless self-plug. What do we get there? Yeah, what do we got there?
This is the minor league single A team, I believe, for the Atlanta Braves. I think I have the right team. This is the Augusta Green Jackets. Do you get it?
That's right. That's so good.
You get it? Such a good ad.
Such a good ad.
Yeah. All week.
It's a great, good job by a minor league baseball team there. That's a layup.
That's good.
Shameless self-plug. I spent a lot of time on this. I'd really appreciate it if you read it. If you don't want to read it, that's fine. Just click on it. That'd be cool too. But really, if you want any notes, they're all here for you. Anything you would want on any player, best finished at the events, how they've done the last 5, some notes on form, and obviously sharing some cool rabbit hole specific data for you as well. We are raising prices at BetSports Golf. We are doing so at the end of this event. Not today. At the end of this event. So when that green jacket goes on the back of someone shortly thereafter, prices will be going up. We've waited and held off on this so we can ensure that you can be grandfathered in, holding your price for life. And we have done so. So if this still can be you can still be one of the OG early bird pricing, even though we've been up for a couple years now. That price is yours to have. Currently, prices are going up for weekly, monthly, and the annual subscription, but you can lock it in right now for life. If you are still not sure and you're like, hey, that's a pretty big commitment. Marriage is a long time. Marriage is forever. That's not for me. You want to dip your toes in the water? We've partnered with Vivid Picks. It's a DFS pick'em site, similar to some other ones you know out there. Obviously, Vivid's a name that you're probably familiar with. They're Vivid Seats. You can use our promo code BetSportsGolf, and you can deposit and play $5 on Vivid, and you will get a free BetSports Golf subscription for the rest of the season. That will get you access to literally everything that we do, modeling, rabbit hole, Discord, picks, all the stuff. And you will have that for free. All you need to do is deposit and play $5 on Vivid. They'll first deposit match you up to $250. So if you like these games, take advantage of that. It's only available in 28 states. It's listed here below. And if it's not one of yours, just DM us on Twitter at BetSportsGolf. We'll get you a promo code. We'll get you 50% off for your first month or $50 off the annual. And again, you can lock in that pricing for the long term. If you're considering this, you cannot lock in at this rate through Vivid. So Vivid is, when you come back in next year, you're going to have to pay the increased price. But again, if $5 point of entry, pretty nice for your first time coming through on Vivid. Any questions, just hit us up. Let us know. We'll help you out.
Yeah, just to be real clear, you have to deposit $5 and you have to play $5.
Got to play.
There's a bunch of people that we get every week that like, hey, why didn't I get my code? Well, you got to play through. Like they don't send us that you're good until you play it through. So find an entry, even if it's an NBA entry night, play $5, and then a guy over here will send you an email with a promo code that'll get you a free year at betsportsgolf.com. Check it out. Chuck says, what's up? Thoughts on my pool choices? Tier 1, Scotty. Tier 2, Hideki. Tier 3, Sahith. Tier 4, Russell. Tier 5, Siwoo. And Tier 6, Eric Van Rooya. Boy, EVR hurt me a little last week with his MC.
Yeah.
Those are all guys I like. A big part of playing these tiers contests, it's the same as, March Madness brackets. Like if you are a Chuck, if you're in a pool with your buddies at work, and there's 20 of you, you can go pretty chalky on a few of these guys with high confidence, like, using the top 1 or top 2 names in 3 or 4 of those tiers. If you're in a huge pool where you're putting in $50 for a chance to win like 50 grand or something massive, you do got to get a lot squirrelier. It is the same as March Madness. You're going to have to be more contrarian, more unique, because the chalk probably isn't going to win a tournament like that. I did a podcast. If you listen to this in podcast form, there was one that came out the other day. I talked to Jason Lisk with Pool Genius. They have a product that helps with this as well. They'll actually evaluate your pool and help you make the choices. It's preloaded for a bunch of the big sites that do this sort of stuff. But also, if you're in a weird one and you want to take the time, you can enter your tiers by hand. And it'll say, like, here's what we would do based on the size of your pool. If you check the show notes after this podcast, there's a link in the description. We have like a big discount to any of their products. So check that out if that's something, if you're entering a bunch of these tier pools, they'll let you evaluate multiple pools. So it's definitely something to check out. Looks like you need to update your Chrome at some point here, buddy.
I do. I usually had my bar too. You guys can see my
I can see all you got prize
bookmarks. Yeah.
Bookmarks.
On my betting sites. Yeah, I mean I like all these guys, Chuck. It's hard to know who else is in the tiers, but there's no one on your list that you threw out here that I would say we don't like.
I love Sahith. I love how he matches up here. Obviously, we're huge Russell Henley guys, especially when you get down to those tiers.
Yeah.
Siwoo, who knows? Siwoo's a little.
Siwoo's been. He's not, dude. He's been so consistent.
I know, but he's really dicey. It's weird meeting this. I don't know, as far as his course fit.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. It's so weird.
He's playing well.
He's been playing well. Siwoo's been around for a minute. I was so surprised. I did this when I was doing the players guide. I was like, holy crap! It feels like Siwoo is so old. He's been around forever, and he's just been like at Augusta. This is his 8th Masters. He's 28 years old.
He's played more Masters than Xander.
Yeah, he's just in the Masters, and he's been in the Masters every year since he was 20. So it's been good for the most part. I mean, he's not like contended.
Who was I looking at the other day?
Yeah,
somebody surprised me. They only had like 6. Xander's only 30.
The first time Luke List was the famous this right here. He was 2005. Luke List was a 20-year-old debutante in the Masters and did not come back until I think last year or something like that. He had a very long time between Masters appearances, but yeah, he was there.
Yeah, I had something. Jocko too. Neiman was here in like 18 and then missed a couple of years in a row. But this is that's another guy. Spoiler, I've let my whole card out now if you've been listening closely. So do you want to make a quick model? What should we do, just like a sub model? Like I did. I looked at only majors for the last 5 years.
Sure.
You can look at only the Masters for the last 5 years. You can look at only, courses with difficult scoring like we're going to see here. You can look at long courses, just only long courses. That's the thing. A lot of times we sit, and if you're somebody who watches this every week, you see like we build a model, we put it together. But That's probably not my main use for the rabbit hole. A lot of times I'm just looking at splits like this. Like I just want to pull up a split of everybody over the past 2 years playing on long courses. That's something I looked at the other day.
Useful split.
Because Augusta's long. Like, how have people played on long courses? Then I start digging in, like, here's a bunch of names that are a little longer off the tee. You know, obviously Augusta has evolved over the years, and we've seen that where, 5-10 years ago, but maybe even 5, people weren't taking driver quite as often, but it's become more of a driver every hole course. So it's interesting to start looking at, how some of these players have done over the course of, the past 1, 2, 5 years on courses similar because of their length, because of their difficulty. So,
yeah, hard to capture specific courses that are comp courses. You can, I think they're all a little noisy or a little flawed, but let's, I just added, strokes gained total in majors the last 4 years, but let's do scoring conditions, difficult, very difficult on long and very long courses. And we've had some questions. We've had some new people obviously signing up and playing around with us. And obviously we appreciate it and appreciate you reaching out and asking questions. Some people sharing, hey, I put in difficult scoring conditions on long courses and very strong field strengths, looking at round 1 in majors on bent grass. And I'm not getting anything in my search. Well, you probably have to go all the way back, because really what you're trying to look at is just Augusta. So your best bet would just be to look at Augusta and look at course history, but you're also just way overfitting what the sample is trying to do. Think through what you're actually trying to do by capturing this data. And if you have so many on that are just continuing to narrow it down, your sample size, if anything, is going to be minute and really, really noisy. So be careful with adding too many different sections in the condition model at the same time. So let's look at long and very long scoring conditions difficult. Let's say last 50 rounds. I have last 4 years in the time frame, but let's see if we can grab 50 years. We get a pretty good sample of guys. And hey, Scotty Scheffler, pretty good long.
I did so many different things, and Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
And it is nice because it defaults to rank. And I know a lot of people like to rank so they can say, hey, this guy is 14th in my model or whatever. But it is nice to click on average because it does show like the gaps. Sometimes there's like, oh, Scotty's 1, but should this guy even really be 2? Because the gap between 1 and 2 is the same as 2 and 9 or something even worse in those cases. So
happens often.
Scotty should be 1. What are we looking at then? Tough courses?
Yeah, this is difficult scoring conditions, long courses over the last 50 rounds played. So again, and he separates. Right? Really, I mean, 0.3 strokes per round is a separator, in my opinion. It becomes a larger separator when you look at tee to green. He is almost a full stroke above Rory, who's next, because he's getting way down with a small, slight negative to putting, but a lot of these other guys are gaining relative to the field, whereas he is not. So that's it's interesting. But I want to add the tee to green one because I think that's probably more telling. And what we're actually trying to capture is how do they play tee to green on length versus like really trying to capture the putting. All right, it's long, difficult. Again, you don't have to make notes here. This is just for yourself, and we'll show you at the end why that matters here. So we'll reset that. What else? It's kind of submodel stuff. I mean, look, par 5 scoring, you got to do it. You got to take advantage of scoring the par 5 at the same time.
I was just gonna say, par 5 scoring, the 4 easiest, holes on the course. You do need to have birdie looks all the time if you want to be near the top of the leaderboard. So par 5 efficiency or par 5 birdies are better. Definitely is important. And then honestly, I just pick your 2 favorite approach stats.
I know.
It is especially what I alluded to a few minutes ago about everybody taking driver. For the most part, anyone with any amount of accuracy is going to be staying out of trouble. It is going to come down to second shots in these uneven terrain, difficult to hit from spots. Like, it is a tricky second shot. but it's going to come down to it for basically everyone who's going to compete here.
Yeah, let's see. I want to see it because let's look at Augusta specifically. We'll look at strokes gain data. It says last 50 rounds. But we're not going to get 50 for everyone. But let's just see who is, look at the average. Want to see who is gaining strokes on approach at Augusta. We'll go over the last 5 years. I know. Well, Cantley Tita Green has been awesome here.
Adam Scott. I watched almost all of that. Norm Macdonald watching the Adam Scott championship. And it's funny because Curb ended the other night. But God, what's it? I call him Funkhauser, but Super Dave Osborne.
Yeah.
He's on the call, and like obviously he didn't want Adam Scott to win or didn't bet him. He's just, he's on the call after. He's like, this is so awful. This is awful. Such a bummer. Like he just got like 30 times in a row. Norm was talking. He's so mad that Adam Scott had won that tournament. That was kind of a good one.
That's a good YouTube find for sure. No, I really wanted to watch it. It was just not going to lead to any productivity that day.
It was horrible. It was supposed to be background noise.
Yeah, no way. But you can see here, this is strokes gained on approach per round, on average over the last 5 iterations of the event. Scotty Scheffler, and this is average. He probably is pretty close in total, even though he didn't play one, which is just kind of interesting here too. Morikawa struck it well here. You wouldn't think of him as a great fit. JT, Xander, Patrick Cantley again, Hideki, Schwartzel, who popped up randomly 2 years ago and had a T10, kind of speaks to the course history. He entered with absolutely zero form and then just shows up and plays pretty well. Corey Connors, Phil, then Tom Kim, who made his debut, some other guys that just had been around here one time, which is, again, interesting to see. Yeah, I like I said, I'm not going to add this specifically to a model, but you can look around, poke around, see who's putted well here. If you want to look at specifically firm and fast bent grass greens, you can look at that as well, or you can look specifically who's done that and handled themselves well at Augusta. Interesting, Scotty, strokes gain, short game, still outstanding, even though he's given it back a little bit on the greens here. So kind of speaks to how well he can chip and navigate that around here. All right, so I'll pull this off. We'll cancel that. We'll go to all courses. I'm sorry. And we'll look at something from an approach standpoint. I mean, now you can look in fairway approach and look at proximity, because we do have 150 plus. I think Ron had said like it's almost 75% of the approach shots here. You don't have a lot of short irons here. You got to hit well those scoring irons, and those scoring irons here are kind of in that 150 plus range. But I think just approach is telling you the best story that you would want, or if you wanted to see greens and rag or overall proximity. That's the thing here, is like fairways hit higher than normal, big wide fairways, but it's where you are on the fairway, strategically putting yourself in the right spot. And the same thing with greens and rag. You can land on the green, but man, if you are like barely holding on to the false fronts and you have a 40-foot putt, that is not great in terms of what we're trying to capture with how you are from an approach standpoint. So I would definitely obviously lean to approach more so than anything else. And these are shorter par fives as well. So even the aggressiveness with going for the green, it's just not really, there's only a handful of guys that are going to be turning these par fives into 3-shot holes, the Zach Johnsons of the world and stuff.
Yeah. What do you land on here then?
Approach. I think just strokes gain approach.
Straight approach. Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy.
Yeah. This is a struggle, right? We're going last 36. So I went last 36 rounds, last 5 years. So we're going to get the last 36 rounds of LIV guys when they played in the tour. Now that's the thing, is like, what is that from? Like that's not super relevant for what we're trying to actually do here. And that's the struggle with modeling this week, right? Here's Rahm. He's third. We click into his 36 rounds. And here's what we get. It's not anything that happened very recently, obviously. Tour Championship, BMW, everything kind of late last year. Rahm is going to be obviously better than the rest of the guys, right? We click on this for, the next LIV guy that pops up, and we are, Barry, Cam Smith. We're going to be looking at the Open Championship. So it's here. It is what it is. It's the nature of having to model this with the LIV guys and not having LIV data, or even if we had LIV data, that being actually, to Andy's point at the top, anything relevant that could tell you a story that is indicative of how they're playing. So driving distance, let's put something driving distance in just to capture something, because I think distance
help.
does matter.
It's not going to hurt.
This is a almost 7,600 from the tips. They mow the fairways against the grain, so the ball doesn't roll as much either. It's going to play like 78. That's a big course. You need some distance here. I like to look at the little bit of the gap that we see at times between driving distance and carry distance. See who kind of gets benefit of the rollout, which I think is interesting to see. But we'll just go driving distance. Again, you could put carry distance in here, another unique feature that we have here on the rabbit hole too. But we'll add driving distance and let's just see what we get. All right. Oh, we could do this too. Andy could show people. I think we did this already, but hey, it's too much white for you.
Oh shit.
Dark mode, baby.
Some people, and I feel bad for giving that guy grief. The guy, I thought he just preferred dark mode, but he's like, I have light sensitivity. I need it for if I want to use products. I'm like, well, shit. Now I feel bad. But hopefully, this makes it better for some people who do have some light sensitivity or just prefer dark mode. I leave mine on dark mode sometimes. I switch back for screenshots for the most part. It does look better in a screenshot in light mode when I do things like that. The other thing is there's a box there that now has 100
math.
So just go build yourself a website. Go build a tool. Work with a dev team. It's fucking hard. It's so hard, guys. Nothing is easy. And you forget the stupidest little things I would like a box that adds up to 100. So put a stupid number in one of those. This is nice too. It's not going to play a horn at you, but if you put a number that, if it doesn't add up to 100, turns red.
There you go.
So nice little, it's such a little addition, but it takes some time for the dev team to get it. And it doesn't matter a lot, but it helps. I love it so much. So pretty happy about that. I'll let you do the percentages. 100% on you right now.
Let's see. I mean, let's go. I'm going to go heavy with these top two here. We'll go majors last 5. We'll go 20. Long and difficult, I'm going to go up a little bit. I'm going to turn it up. We'll go 35. Par 5 averages, let's dial it back a little bit. Let's say we'll do the same here for all these. We'll go 15, 15, 15 to finish. We don't have to do the math in our head. But I want to capture majors. Some of it, this is another thing that's going to be tough for some debutants, obviously. But obviously some of those guys have played other majors. But that's, it's a little bit dicey with some of the newer young guys that can contend and are really good. I think that's why I want to give the tee to green long and difficult. They probably have a shot to have a larger, more worthwhile sample size than just kind of split up things. If anything, I approach them at 15. That's because I'm capturing tee to green. So I really have approaches already kind of double dipped anyway. If I'm building a model, and I did, and you can see here, you can save as many of these bad boys as you want. If you want to see the model my first time through, you can go ahead and click on that. I obviously have a lot more of things in here as well. If you want to see other people's models, you want to see Andy's model, you want to see Andy Lack's model, you want to see Matt Vicenzi's model.
I think I forgot to give mine a title. Mine just says by Andy. I might have to delete it and remake a new one. Oh no, mine just says by Andy Molitor.
There you go. Ron Kloss, PGA Splits 101. You want to see his model, you can go ahead and click into those and see, again, kind of help you build the structure of yours, see who's at the top of people's models, see who, the dirt cheap guy on DraftKings that's higher than on theirs, whatever. You can do whatever you want there.
I like clicking into Ron and Andy's and yours and Matt's and just everyone. If I get a time, just see what you used. I hadn't thought about that, or thinking why the hell did he use that? And then, digging in a little. So no, it is nice. That's a nice benefit that you can look at all the you know what? Fuck it. We are experts. We won last week. So I'm not going to give us air quotes for experts, but the expert,
big expert energy here.
Also, expert energy.
CSV is a really cool feature as well. You want to make a bunch of them, put them into Excel, slice them and dice them. You can download any of these into a CSV as well and go from there. So, all right, we have it ready to go. Give it a name. Let's generate it. I'll save it so people can watch, go back and see it. save and generate our basic 5-legger here. I think Scotty Scheffler is going to be on top. Let's see.
Yeah, and again, all the live guys are going to be a little too low. Besides probably Rahm. Rahm is the latest exile, so he has a lot of data. But like, again, when we're doing this week, and I said even with the live data, you do have to take a grain of salt with guys like Jocko, with guys like Brooks. They probably should be higher. Best to add some context, a little dash of context to your pimento cheese, guys.
Yep. We didn't put any putting in here, so Tony Finau top 10 comfortably. Same thing, Shane Lowry and Corey Connors. So definitely a ball striker's paradise with the model that we built there. Yeah, and you can see just go down. I think it's useful to kind of look at the back ends. You're obviously going to see some limited data with some amateurs in here, some small sample guys, some Champions Tour guys. When you start to get into, all right, Adam Schenk, JT Poston, Sepp Straka, some guys that are playing every week that should have relevant data sets. Who's kind of down and performing poorly in what you're building as well. Maybe those are fades in DFS. Maybe those are matchup targets in bets. We should have a probably more expansive betting menu in terms of matchups, depending on your books this week.
Oh, yeah.
Lee Hodges, Taylor Moore, interesting. He's been playing pretty good golf, but tee to green has not been great. And he's kind of getting hung down on his total for the majors as well. So yeah, just interesting to go through, look at approach. Jason Day is trying to find it right now. It is not happening for him. We'll see. But yeah, this is definitely an interesting circle back upside down as well. I think is useful to see too. So yep, Scotty Scheffler at the top. Zalatoris continues to tease at majors. He's number 2, Rahm 3, Rory 4, DJ 5, and then kind of a unique collection of guys that are not super duper surprising there, rounding out the top. So you shared a little bit of your bets. In closing here real quick, you said some good guys.
I played Xander. There was a 25 on yesterday at DraftKings, guys. Like, I get it a little, but it's still a guy that probably should have won this last year. He was the better golfer for 80% of that tournament.
I'm going to say something. I don't even know that I believe it, but this is I want to just talk through it for 30 seconds. Last year in the lead-in, he won the LIV event and had been playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
This year, leading up to it, we have a putter change, and he was pretty atrocious at Doral heading into it. So it's definitely a guy, like I said, I don't even believe it. This is probably the one guy in golf that has shown us over the last 6-7 years that there is an on-off switch. It just is.
Yeah.
Like he showed it to us. So I think 25 on Brooks is,
he's he can be. He's just, the buddy who you didn't know played D1 baseball, and he like suddenly he zips one like 80, like out of nowhere without warming up. Like, oh, like, you can pitch. Like he can just turn it on. So 25 was egregious. I played Jocko and I played Xander so far. I'm considering Rahm. This is a tournament where I do like some bigger prices.
Okay.
Because I like prices everywhere. Everywhere I like bigger prices, but my card is going to be a lot closer to the top than normal because this isn't a tournament Jake Knapp can win. This isn't. God, if he wins, I feel like I have to put $5 on him now. But it's just not. It's not one of these tournaments we saw early in the season where a long shot is going to come out of nowhere, and a bunch of them. I mean, some of those tournaments where the long shots won, it was like a few people on the leaderboard at the top are long shots. Like even if he didn't win, somebody else who was 150 to 1 was going to win. There's going to be some big names at the top. That's just how it works. So my card is going to be a little chalkier than usual, and it feels weird. I hate looking at it because usually I'll have like one guy in the 20s and then some 30s, 40s, 50s. Just not the case here.
It's got to be a different week for sure. I totally agree. Look, we get a little extra money. It's just the reality of it. Akshay won, so it's like, I'll take an extra little shot. And now I'm in a position where, with the result of last night's game, with UConn winning, because we touched on it. We kind of flirted with the idea the last couple of weeks. I did have a pretty sizable UConn men's, South Carolina women, and Scotty to win the Masters ticket. It was bumped Scotty out to 26.
2-3.
I got a nice little 26 on Scotty heading into the week. So
I didn't plan on playing, but somebody had me come on a show yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, we need your bets for the game." I don't have any, so I did like an hour research, and that's how you go 2-0. Is like just putting together a couple. I went Purdue team total under, and then assists over for Newton, who had like no assists in the first 10 minutes. I was like, well, should I even stay up? Because scoring was kind of quick too. I'm like, I'm gonna go 0-2, and after staying up till midnight. But no, congrats to UConn, congrats to Akshay, congrats to us, congrats to you. If you haven't yet, if you're joining us here, please hit the subscribe button. It does help the channel grow a little, helps us get some more resources. Honestly, like channel growth equals sponsors, sponsors equals money, money equals more money I can put into development, equals more things I can do on the website to make the rabbit hole even better. I seen somebody ask on the Twitter, and I'm sure we'll answer them there too, but the day one pricing stuff, that is like Brian said, if you get in and you don't cancel, that's the thing. If you cancel and come back, you're going to pay it. But yeah, it's $20 a month. It ain't going to be $20 a month next week.
Yeah.
So if you pay 20, if you want to pay monthly, $20 a month, $20 a month next week, not, or next month. It doesn't matter what we raise it to. So we will grandfather you into those prices if the tech works. If the tech doesn't work, obviously we'll send you some money back. We'll figure it out, guys.
The tech's going to work. I got to make sure that
I have immense faith in the tech team.
Yeah, to make sure that we continue to be the undefeated podcast in terms of handing out winners, I got to get all my card out just in case, so we have it on.
Oh yes,
I'm with you. I am with you on Xander.
Oh god,
it's so tough, dude. But like statistically, he's been awesome. I think his distance is up. A lot of good things going on with Xander. Approach has been better. Decky, same thing. Decky's distance is way up this year comparatively. He's back to like 2019. So I wish I would have had like longer numbers on Decky, but that number got steamed at the Riv. So Decky, Zalatoris, 35s. We bet Zalatoris all the time. I'm not going to not bet Zalatoris at 35, especially. That would be one that just is like a tax bet for sure. And then I got in last week doing the research for the player's guide, and I took Sahith at 62. And it's shorter now.
Close there. I might join you. He's like 55, 57. I'm seeing, and I still think I have an appetite for it.
The approach game's been better and more consistent. And my thing with Sahith has just been he's been so inconsistent. He has all of it in spurts, but we just never see it consistently together. The short game is great. T9 here last year in his debut.
He was 9th last year. He's been here and he played well. So yeah. You got it. All right. So Heath, put it on the card. Heath's in. All right. Appreciate you guys. Like you said, follow, subscribe, share, like, thumbs up. If you did watch this, please hit a thumbs up. If you have any questions on the rabbit hole or golf, life, parenting, recipes, philosophy, hit us up on Twitter at AndyMSFW, at RY Noonan. See you next week.
Good luck, everybody.